Before this video starts, I want to talk about something very special to me, that being Cornbread Travel, a 1-hour Geometry Dash collab, which I am hosting that is so unbelievably close to releasing. Every part is finished, and all that needs to be done is optimizing the object count, playtesting, bug fixing, balancing the whole level, fixing secret ways, and merging. And we would really appreciate your help. Server link is in the description if you want to join, and even if you can't help the level, you can still hang out. The server is filled with some awesome people and stuff, really fun. Anyways, on to the video. I'm using my voice now. So this is gonna be the format. Title and stuff's gonna be on the top, the level's gonna be on the left, and the ratings are gonna be on the bottom. There's gonna be some notes on the right as well. Anyways, let's get into our top 20. Point of View is a super nice, simplistic level, and it's almost like a treat to watch it. I would say the highlights of this level are definitely the song, as this is one of the only entries where the creator used their own song, and it sounds great as well, along with being well represented as well. I would say that the gameplay is a bit weaker, as it is a bit disengaging at times, with lots of downtime, but I think overall, it still holds up well. Nice level with a nice song. Cosmic Jump. This is a very well-made level that I'm really happy to see it make it into the top 20. Its best part is most likely the theme. It's very similar to most levels, but it executes that space travel theme a lot better than other entries. The rest of its qualities all hold up pretty well, with the lowest being the decoration score, only because of its slight optimization issues, but that's really it. Awesome level overall. Cammy. This is a nice little, charming little modern style level. Its best aspects are both the theme and the song, with a nice sounding and represented song, along with its vibrant modern and slightly mythical or mystical whatever theme. Its only downside is its less consistent and annoying-ish gameplay and its optimization issues, but not bad at all. However, the best part of this level is actually that it's only one of 2 levels that uses whales for its theme, and this one does it so much better than the other one. I won't say names, but I will show pictures. By the way, that the joke was directly from this video. You should go watch it, even though it's like ancient as fuck. Now, transitioning into probably the most controversial take of this entire video, maybe Abducted at 17, I know, get the pitchforks and torches, kill them with hammers, blah 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 blah. Anyways, this level is an expert example when it comes to levels that excel in being a silly little, goofy little thing, and without a doubt, its best aspect is totally its creative theme, its gimmicks, and its narrative, portraying the fun theme of aliens invading Earth, who turn out to be just chill bro dudes who like a concerning amount of anime. Bectum, what did you mean by this? Oh yeah, also the decoration is really good, I should probably mention that. Unfortunately, this level takes a huge dip down with the gameplay and how boring it is sometimes. I'm not exaggerating when I say there are a total of 7 required clicks in this whole level, and I think that explains all of my criticisms about the gameplay. But overall, yeah, neat little nifty level, and oh my god, you guys went feral after this won the contest. What the hell is wrong with you guys? It got so bad that the creator of the song had to take it off Newgrounds for the harassment they received. Like, huh? What? What did they do? What? I don't get it. Get a grip. This level is fine. Wait. Hold on. Someone's calling me. Yo, what's good, shawty? Oh, shit. Seriously? Hold on. I'll call you back, shawty. So it turns out, a cool guy named Mr. Cool Tricks, who is my goat, by the way, finished a commissioned remix of the original song because it got taken off of Newgrounds, like I mentioned earlier. And now that I'm hearing it, this is so much better. I'm bumping the score up a 1/4 point.
Laziness and inexperience.
Finally moving on to a more chill level, also being one of the first entries made for the whole contest, we have Typewriter by Epixa? Epsa? Jesus Christ. And yeah, it's just lovely. Anyways, this level basically has the exact same critiques for me as Cammy did, with a vibrant, intricate theme and a nice and well-represented song, with some gameplay and optimization issues. I often find myself coming back to this level simply because of its simplicity and uniqueness, so good job, EPXA, 8.5 gold stars for you. This level is probably one of the weirdest on the list. Well, to be fair, it's made by Painting Orange. They made the fish wedding level, so I don't know what you would expect, but it has a very nice charm to it that I think is absolutely shown in its, well, questionable theming. Moons with weird faces, a deer overlord named It wears its I'm weird and freaky and mysterious badge with pride. It wears its I'm weird and freaky and mysterious badge with pride. However, like most of these other levels, the gameplay is where it falls short. Not because it's buggy or unfun, but because it gets kind of boring at times, especially around the middle. Seriously, this stupidly slow part goes on for like a third of the level. Rest of it's pretty fun though. This is an absolute piece of art that should have honestly gotten top 10. If the gameplay was good. Yeah, seriously. This is one of the only and most impressive boss fights in a Space Gauntlet contest entry, with a super fitting song and stunning details in cutscenes, and really everything good you could ask for. Also, can we talk about the fake end screen leading into a boss fight for 1 second? It's honestly insane, and my 1 second is over. The gameplay, however, plays kind of badly most of the time, with super unprecedented timings and attacks from bosses and whatnot. Lots of annoying clicks. Okay, wait, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get my point. Sometimes it doesn't represent the song all too well, but some parts of it are really fun and stuff. Too bad that they got overshadowed by the more annoying parts, but this is without a doubt an incredible and impressive entry. Oh hey, look! It's the first level with a perfect gameplay score. I love this level so much. Its best aspect is undeniably the gameplay, which is just so fun to play. It has a great flow, represents the song super well, and it's just an awesome experience overall. Actually, all of the other parts of this level are pretty spot on, with some amazing modern decoration, some pretty good song and song representation, and a fun theme. They're great, but not great enough to be perfect. But overall, a fantastic entry that I highly recommend trying out yourself. Now we're getting into the big guns, with some levels in the higher legendary tier, starting with my precious starmalade. Fun fact, the next 3 levels on this list, including this one, start with the word star. I wonder why that could be. Anyways, this level holds one of the most creative gimmicks in any Space Gauntlet contest entry I've ever seen, with the entire level being themed around them bouncy slime thingies. Song bops too, no arguing with that. In fact, this level basically has the exact same critique to have for Myths. Creative theme, good gameplay, great decoration, but not as good as many others, which is why I gave this a lower score than other levels. One thing I especially love though is how a lot of default objects were incorporated into the level, like these bush objects and the other stuff that I'm too lazy to find or mention. This level underrated as hell, for real. Stardust Sanctuary is, from what I've seen, way overhated. Like, how can you look at this level and be angry at it? Well, you can say that for most of the levels on this list, but you get the point. Also, I just noticed, this level has the exact same scores as Starmalade. Perfect song and theming, great gameplay, good decoration that isn't quite as good as other levels. Everything in this level, from the designs to the effects to how it plays to its theming, oozes polish and style, showing Glub's many artistic talents. God, that sentence sounded really AI generated. I'm so sorry. Anyways, this guy created Royal Roost Ruins. Can you really ever expect anything less from him? Even though the last 2 levels were practically the same, the next level, all I'm gonna say is the results are drastically different. Finally entering our top 10, and I can finally do more detailed reviews, we have the last level of my Star trilogy, Starcrash. Fun fact, Well, you can say that for most of the levels on this list, but you get the point. Also, I just noticed this level has the exact same scores as Starmalade. Perfect song and theming, great gameplay, good decoration that isn't quite as good as other levels. Everything in this level, from the designs to the effects to how it plays to its theming, oozes polish and style, showing Glub's many artistic talents. God, that sentence sounded really AI generated. I'm so sorry. Anyways, this guy created Royal Roost Ruins. Can you really ever expect anything less from him? Even though the last two levels were practically the same, the next level, all I'm gonna say is the results are drastically different. All I need to say is that it has an amazing flow with fair timings that represent the song incredibly well. Now for the final aspect, the decoration, and although it has the lowest score out of any category for this level, that is purely because of its lagginess, but everything else is on point. Without its optimization issues, it would get a legendary deco score, and the only reason that it's not higher is because the other levels simply look better. This is still good though, so good job. However, I especially love the classic look in some parts, with the green grass and I don't really know. But yeah, I don't think I need to say anymore, this is just great. Overall, an amazing and energetic experience with a good song, theme, gameplay, really everything is just great. If this review sounds like it should have been for a top 1, you do not know the levels that are coming up above this. There is no amount of convincing that you can tell me to try and convince me that this isn't just a literal movie trailer. Jokes aside, Final Orbit is really incredible, but unfortunately takes its toll with its inconsistent-ish and kind of uninspired theming. First of all, I want to talk about the decoration, and oh my god, the amount of detail is astonishing. This level is filled to the brim with really detailed and complex structures, textures, physics. It's just so impressive all around. The effects are great too, and they aren't too obstructive. Super impressive overall. Next, I want to bring up the song, and there's not much I can say other than it's a great song choice that's represented pretty well. I mean, it's Creo, like what did you expect? Anyways, now I want to talk about the main issues with this level, starting with the gameplay. No, but Rings, the gameplay is epic Mordrock exploit flow click sync, so it can't be bad. Shut your bitch ass up! But seriously, the gameplay is good, but it's not good in the way that I would necessarily come back to it. It does flow well, but some clicks are annoying or unprecedented, but I think it's still solid. Now, on to the biggest issue with this level, it's inconsistent theming. Yes, you could say that it's clear the theme is supposed to be an asteroid destroying a spaceship, blah 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 blah, but my main issue is how the second half kind of does its own thing, not caring about the narrative already set up. The parts fit together nicely, but it isn't very effective when you can't pinpoint what story some parts are supposed to be telling. If it was a little more progressive with its story, I would have given this at least a 9 out of 10 without a doubt. Overall, an incredible level, but it's missing that essence of a complete narrative that would have awarded it at least a low mythic rating from me. Defining and Defying is a great entry with a great theme from Galafuff, and it's possibly their best work, but that is debatable. I don't exactly have much to say about this level, so maybe we can run through it quickly. First, I want to talk about the song, and while there isn't much that's noteworthy other than both of the songs chosen are excellent picks, yes, there are two songs, and they are represented well with player movement, energy, effects, sync, and whatnot. Next, I want to talk about maybe the strongest aspect of the level, that being the theme. The level is split into two parts, with you exploring on an astronomical scale before exploring the atomic realm. And I would say this is done amazingly. The narrative is tied together and cohesive. The level uses interesting concepts such as low gravity and regular gravity. Negative gravity? No, but I think I've seen that negative gravity gimmick in other levels, but I was never really able to figure out how it works, so good job, Galafuff. Now, on to some good aspects of the level, but some of that are just unfortunately a little bit weaker than the others. First of all is the gameplay, which I think is overall kind of fun, fair, and replayable, and it does implement that negative gravity gimmick I talked about earlier pretty well, but it does have some weird orb timings. The level can have a pretty inconsistent flow at times, without much structure, but overall, I think it's pretty good. Not much else I can complain about. Finally, we have the decoration, and while there isn't much I can say about it other than it is just really good, I really did enjoy how detailed it was while still not being too overwhelming or underwhelming. Pretty neat overall. So that's defining and defying and declining and deriving and designing and deadlining and denying, and it's overall just a neat, nifty level with a good theme and stuff. Above defining and defying, we are on to the first mythic level of the list, but not quite a 9 out of 10 yet, aperture. I'm sure a whole lot of y'all were expecting this somewhere, and rightfully so, because the majority of the level is, what the fuck, how do you do that, holy fuck, oh, the level's over. The decoration is probably the best out of any level, but what did you expect? It's basically perfect all around, with good effects, designs, details, and it feels super polished throughout the level. It also has some really impressive optimization when you compare it to the level of decoration this level has. In my opinion, decoration like this requires Olympic skill building to beat, so good job you three. After all, I will hand it to them. If there's any level that deserves to be in a YouTube short with the caption, "Is this even GD anymore?" with Fetty Wap Trap Queen royalty remix playing in the background, it's this one. Next, all three categories left, the gameplay, the song, and the theming, were all pretty average, so I'll start with the gameplay, which for the most part is actually fine for a level based on a decoration showcase. It flows pretty well, most of it isn't too buggy, and most of it is easy to understand and learn, despite it being kind of technical. My main issue is that a lot of timings and sections feel more unfair and inconsistent, like the first spider part, the cube part right after, and the UFO part after that one 3D part. Overall, just not that bad, and it's a lot better than what I expected for a level of this kind. Next, I will talk about the song, and wow, what did you expect? It's like the 50th level that uses a generic Camellia song, who would have guessed? I don't really mind the song that much, but it's one of the most basic Camellia songs that follows this same format. Calm start, intense pre-drop, huge big dubstep drop or encore, and then a piano ending. I don't really care about it much, it is just kind of generic and a very unfitting pick for a level like this. However, the song does have good representation throughout, as well as good note representation and stuff. Finally, I want to talk about the theme, and I think it's good. Not too special, but not that generic or boring or whatever. The whole theme goes along this realism type depiction of space, but instead of just the generic space travel trope, most of the level is actually in the perspective of someone looking through a telescope into space, which I really liked. It's consistent throughout the whole level, and there isn't much I can critique about it, really. Overall, Aperture is genuinely an insane level that totally deserved their spot in the contest, but for me, it's barely missing that spark, that special thing that would get it above a 9 out of 10 score. Above Aperture, somehow, we have Mirage, being the first level to be awarded a 9 out of 10 score. This level is really just great all around, and I think it's kind of an underrated entry. Seriously, I haven't seen anyone talk about this level like ever, but Metamorphosis, Falc's previous level, had the community in a fucking chokehold, Jesus Christ. First of all, like Metamorphosis, this level has some stunning decoration, but I think its best quality is actually how controlled it is compared to Metamorphosis. Yes, that level did have some amazing looking decoration, but part of it felt like an effect showcase, kind of getting in the player's face because the song is more intense. I think is heavily improved on Mirage, because every part feels like a new amazing looking experience without being all, wow, look at me. There's a great use of particles and shaders, nothing is overwhelming, underwhelming, or disruptive of the gameplay. The energy matches the song's energy, and has some super vibrant and visually pleasing color palettes that I just absolutely adore. I also want to talk about the extremely cinematic and intensifying song, which is super similar to the one used in Metamorphosis, and every aspect of it I really like. The song has an amazing progression, mixing, energy, and it's just represented so well in the gameplay, the theming, the decoration, really just everything. Which is why I want to award this level the Best Song Representation Award out of any entry that I've ranked. Again, there could be some entries that have way better qualities but didn't make the ranking, either because I didn't like the other aspects or yeah, that's really it. Anyways, now I want to talk about the gameplay, which I think is just plain good, and there isn't much I can complain about. All of the parts are fun to learn and play, most of them are fair even if they look like hell. There are little to zero bugs or not play-tested areas, and the level just has a great flow and song representation throughout. My only issues are as follows. Some very few clicks are a bit awkward or annoying, some little parts such as the mini ship near the end are a bit more unfair, and some auto sections are a little bit boring, but I think that can be disregarded. And now for the last aspect of the level, the theming, which I am on the fence about giving this a 1.5 out of 2 or a 1.75 out of 2, because there isn't much to complain about. Overall, it is just a really neat theme and style. Every part fits together amazingly, and the overall theme is executed really well, with the whole level holding a certain tension throughout the pre-drop. And that tension turns into some explosive energy throughout the drop until the ending. My only complaint is that the theme can be a bit generic at times, or it can be hard to pinpoint an exact theme. I also think that the theming or the narrative of the level can be inconsistent sometimes, but I think it isn't too bad. Overall, just a great level that I am very surprised didn't get much attention, unlike Metamorphosis. Hey girl, are you a planisphere? 'Cause you're the one whose plans I sphere. Yeah, I don't think that would be a very effective pickup line now that I think about it. Anyways, Planispheres is by far one of the most creative and unique Space Gauntlet contest entries, and I think it's absolutely brilliant in execution. The entire level is practically the definition of short and sweet. First, I want to talk about the decoration, which is for sure mythic worthy. It's some of the most detailed and visually pleasing out of many entries. Even better, none of the decoration or effects obstruct the level at all. Actually, I don't think that there are even any effects in the entire level, which makes sense as the entire level is really just based on ambience and a blending of minimalist effects and flashiness with maximum detail and uniqueness. Every aspect is really just great, I love it. But even though the decoration is already mythic worthy, it's not even its best aspect, which I think would go to the level's theming, and the theming of this level is actually brilliant. The entire level is based around stars, star charts, and, well, planispheres, and the level takes the chance of using a more creative theme than the generic space travel, being entirely in the point of view of charts, blueprints, maps, and photos of stars. The decoration works super well with the theme as well, making the level super detailed while also being extremely cohesive throughout. Absolutely beautiful, no denying that. Even better, every part feels like it builds off of the previous, and they are so well put together, fitting, and well transitioned that I almost feel like I never even left the part I was in. Brilliant theme all around. Next, I want to focus on this level's song, which first of all was an incredible pick, and I honestly don't think there's a song out there that would fit this level better than this song. The amount of detail in the decoration is beautifully represented in the amount of grainy noises in the song. It make me ears go yummy yummy ear candy. Oh yeah, and it is amazingly represented in the decoration as I already described, but also in the gameplay as the players flow, motion, and their clicks. And it's even well represented in the theming, and as the overall vibe and ambience of every part accompanying the song very nicely. Wait, can you even call that part of the theme? I don't know, but I can confirm that it's amazing either way. Finally, the gameplay is probably the weakest aspect of this level, but it's still a good one. First of all, a lot of the gameplay has a noticeable different flow than most other levels. Instead of the structures being built around you, it feels like you are maneuvering your way through structures, and I absolutely love that idea. The gameplay and the shapes of the structures even fit the decoration and environment with the level well, which is extremely cool. However, I do feel that it was a bit more unfun at some parts than others. Some inconsistent sections, old timings, annoying click patterns, you get the deal. In my opinion, this is close to an easy demon, but most people would agree that this does have easy demon gameplay, but was only a 9-star due to its short length. Overall, annoying at times, but nonetheless super unique and good all around. And that basically sums up Planispheres, an amazing, unique, creative, and detailed entry which totally deserves a mythic score. Before I start this review, I want to give thanks to my good friend Akurio64 for getting me to like this level and helping with some of this review. Anyways, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I have a single negative thing to say about this level. None at all. I'm serious. I don't really have much to say about this level specifically, so I will kind of do what I will do for the top 2 entries, and that is change up my style of reviewing from reviewing individual qualities to reviewing the level as a whole with some separation for individual aspects. Anyways, let's get into my review. To be honest, at a first glance, the Beyond isn't the kind of level that screams mythic in your face, but I sorta kinda love it for that. I'm just gonna directly quote Akureo64 on this one and say, it's not a level necessarily made to impress, but that is why I prefer it. It's a level made to be an actual fun level. Very well said, Akureo. In fact, I think I'm gonna be pulling a lot of stuff from him because he really likes this level as well. The entire level looks amazing, and it has this very sleek textile design to it. And there isn't a single part in this whole level that drops in quality. And in fact, I would say that this level gets better as it goes on. In the later sections, such as the robot ship part, which is my favorite part in the whole level, because it plays so well, oh my god. The ball part leading up to the final drop, and the whole duel, the entire setting feels so climactic, and it is an absolute experience to play this with your headphones cranked on to the max volume. It's genuinely euphoric, man, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna quote Akureo again, but the transient space vibes fit well with the song, and the song choice is incredible. The gameplay is very fun and does a good job at representing the song. This whole level just has an amazing song representation throughout, with different gameplay elements, decoration, and theming fitting the song in different ways very well. Oh yeah, speaking of the gameplay, you may have noticed the little Best Gameplay award somewhere on the screen. This gameplay is so unbelievably fun, it's insane. This level's gameplay is some of the best flow, mechanics, song representation. God, it's just so perfect. It's genuinely super fun to play, and it's my primary reason why I always return to this level all the time. Heading back to the song representation, I want to talk about the song choice itself, and it's just great. The song sounds amazing the whole time, and it's honestly such a good choice for a level like this. I just love how it sounds, that's all. Anyways, after glossing over most of the stuff that I enjoy about this level, and even though I gave this level the Best Gameplay award, the thing that I love most about it is not what it does, but actually what it doesn't do. This level is one of the more low-key levels of the contest, and it isn't all up in your face like I mentioned earlier. But in turn, it feels like it has a personality, a soul. It feels like the creator actually wanted to build it out of passion and creativity, and not for some cash prize in the contest. It's a very original level, and it feels super down to earth to me. This personality is also why I love the level's gameplay, as the level being more grounded helps it to actually have a more fun and playable gameplay that always makes me want to come back to it. Even though most of this level is so incredibly simple, it's such an amazing experience and one that I simply cannot put into words, so I really, really recommend playing this level, as with a lot of other levels on the list, but it's truly an experience that you can only get with this level. On the screen it's an epic, but to me it's a mythic. Moving on to the absolute 3 best of the best entries, third on the list is the Modern Masterpiece, Out of Place. This is almost a perfect level, with almost every aspect in nook and cranny being just absolutely perfect. First of all, let's talk about the decoration. This level holds some of the most stunning and beautiful realism that I've ever seen in a Geometry Dash level, and it isn't even realism in like the ultra epic Nexus, Viper, and Showcase Kisaragi generic space travel realism. It's like genuine, historically accurate, Renaissance type realism. To quote Smith N, "I will not believe that you are not a reincarnation of some famous Renaissance artist. Jarvis, write an in-text citation for this quote in MLA format." Anyways, yeah, I think Smith N is just speaking pure facts here, and he basically said everything I could possibly say about this decoration. I'm not done though. I think the progression and intensity of the effects, designs, and overall vibe with the level is extremely strong, and it really feels like you are traveling through a renaissance. Hey, future editor me, can you put a counter every time I say the word renaissance? Thanks. Where were we? Oh yeah, and it really feels like you are traveling through like a renaissance themed fever dream. The last time that a level made me feel feelings like this was when I saw Comatose by R-Ply for the first time, and I will be forever grateful for that feeling. The only other note I have about the decoration is that there is some slight frame drop seen at around the middle section of this level, which is expected of a level of this caliber, but I didn't mark off anything from the score because the gameplay, which I will get to later, is so easy that the lag is almost negligible. Now, let's get to the theme, which I kind of already described loosely in the decoration section, but that is only because the level's decoration and theming go together very well. The Renaissance theming is done perfectly throughout the level, as well as being extremely consistent. Even though every part is in the same couple of styles, it feels like a new experience every time you transition into a new section. Even when coming back to this level, it still feels like this after playing it multiple times over. Additionally, this level holds some beautiful progression, storytelling, and a beautiful narrative. Now, some of you might watch this level and think, how does this relate to space at all? Sure, the level's song says the word space in that one part, but is there ever really a space theme part? Well, no. No, I'm serious. In fact, this level isn't themed around space at all. Not because it's generic or has a loose theming, but because it is one of the most unique and complex takes and depictions of space I have ever seen. Rage baited you there, huh? Or not, who knows. Yeah, this level is related to space in a similar way that planispheres is related to space, from the perspective of a human looking up from an abstract like Earth into space through maps, telescopes, dreams, and a bunch of other ways. What I find interesting though is that the level often switches perspective from someone looking up into space to someone traveling through space, as if these moments of space travel are dreams. This wacky theory kind of makes sense when compared to the dreamy, otherworldly sounding song, which we'll get to, which sort of becomes more floaty and hazy during the space travel parts, such as the second part, the choruses, and the last part, which seems like you're on a new planet. Additionally, the last part looks like you were on the ground, but there is a clear window into space from your position, which maybe suggests that the part is in the setting of a different planet, as there is no atmosphere or local light pollution to block the visibility from space. Does this entire rant sound schizophrenic? Yes. But does it explain my absolute adoration to this level's almost perfect theming? I hope so, because I really do adore this level's theme all around. And it would have won Best Theme, or one of the other 2 theme awards, i.e. Most Creativity Award, which I gave to Planispheres, and the Best Story Award, which I awarded to an upcoming level on the list, if it weren't for the next aspect, which I would like to call perfect. On to the mentioned aspect, I want to talk about the song, which, oh my god, it's so good! Seriously, this is such a beautiful, enchanting song, and it's honestly the perfect pick. I was listening to the song, and my dad genuinely thought it was Radiohead, bro. Shout out to the artist, underrated at hell, for real, for real. The song has some amazing progression and energy, and I honestly never want the song to end when I'm listening to it. The song's representation, however, is also beautiful. The lyrics are portrayed wonderfully throughout the level, and they kind of evoke deep meanings of belonging, loneliness, and hopelessness. The note representation is great. Sounds and noises are represented extremely well in the level by clicks, energy, effects, you get the idea. But overall, song representation is outstanding. The vibe, energy, intensity of the song is absolutely matched by each and every part. This level, instead of being a level that just has a song, feels like the level and the song were absolutely made for each other. This may just be the greatest pick for a song on a Geometry Dash level of all time. I simply must award this level the Best Song Award. Great job, HA-tastic, A++++. Finally, onto the last aspect of the level, which is the only one I marked down, but not that much. But it still makes a difference, and people critique this aspect too harshly, the gameplay. It's great. What did you expect me to say? First of all, it's super fair and forgiving, and there aren't any fucked up hitboxes or bugs throughout the level, and it's really fun to play all around, as well as being really replayable. Along with the absolute perfect song representation, this level's gameplay and song go hand in hand, just like how the decoration and song do as well. Now, onto my main critiques with this level's gameplay. Spoiler, there aren't many. First of all, this level can be a bit boring to play in some parts, especially the first ship part. Second, there are a few parts with annoying or completely unreadable clicks, such as that one swing part or that one arbitrary red orbed click during the ship part near the end. Finally, lots of parts are way easier than they look. For example, take the ship part above the city. You would expect to be killed when flying down because of the sharp buildings on the foreground, but nope, you can literally fly everywhere. So basically, this level's balancing is a little wonky, with some harder and way easier parts than you would expect. This is all really negligible though, and this level is still just a modern masterpiece all around. Insanely impressive work from both the creator of the level and the creator of the level's song. So this next entry is what I would like to call a sleeper level, Because the first time you see or play it, you're probably like, oh, cool level, good job, and not think much of it. But the more and more you look into it, the more you realize the sheer master level craftsmanship that went into creating the level, and you can't help but admire it for even the smallest, most unnoticeable details ever. Even though it could possibly be not that serious, and just a silly little entry with a lot of Easter eggs or whatever, in the end, everything is there because the creator still cared enough to make a level that was truly amazing. This level that I'm talking about is none other than Hideout by Brain Eater. Let's go! Let's go, dude! Anyways, Brain Eater is literally my goat, bro. I was with this shit ever since he made Jaunt, which was, and still probably is, my favorite easy demon of all time. And I knew he was cooking. And then he released Somewhere Else, a 5-level project. Then he made and stopped making Cesspool. And then he made Night Palace, and now he made this? Huh? Before I get into the review, I would like to announce that this is the first and one of the only 2 levels on this list where I have absolutely 0 things to critique about. Seriously, there's like nothing bad about this level. Like nothing at all. Like every aspect is incredible, really. Also, because this level is placed this high, I want to switch my review style again from reviewing individual aspects to reviewing the level as a whole, because every aspect kind of goes hand in hand with this level and the level of the number 1 spot. Anyways, let's finally talk about the level. First of all, I think this is one of the most creative entries in the entire contest, and even though it isn't trying to be that visually impressive, it is brilliant in execution. The whole theme of the level and the song is as follows. The world is sort of ending due to many reasons, such as war, nuclear events, and fires. So the protagonist of the story, the player or the singer of the song, plans to go to the moon to survive all the chaos. Along with being super creative and intricate, the entire level sort of encompasses and executes this theme amazingly, and for all of this, I must, out of every level, give this level the best story award. Alright now, I'll talk about the other stuff. One of my favorite details in the entire level is that you can see almost every single lyric in the song in some way or another, and this is most obvious in the chorus. If you don't know what I mean, I'll give some examples. You can see that when the song says, with numbers and graphs, Brain Eater decides to put actual numbers, statistics, and graphs in the level, with their appearance matching the time those lyrics are said. Speaking of representation, every single tiny detail represents something else, even the most negligible things. The texture of the blocks during that one ship part representing the texture of the actual moon, the difference in strength of gravity when you're on the Earth versus on the moon at the end. Unlike most levels, this level is able to ooze life into every single corner of itself, even though this level has barely any effects at all, and the environment is static a lot of the time. It comes to show that almost every single time you can make anything, remember, less is more, and you can do so much with so little. I also want to just acknowledge some other small details that I really appreciate. The color scheme of the whole level just looks amazing, the gameplay is practically flawless, and overall, every single decision made in this level had a lot of thought put into it, and even if there wasn't and I'm lying, then screw you, I guess. This level bangs. Anyways, while this is one of my favorite entries, and it also has grew on me immensely, this pales in comparison to the level I put at my number 1 spot. Ever since the first time I saw it, I knew it was one of my favorite levels in all of Geometry Dash, and it is without a doubt the best entry to the Space Gauntlet contest. This level is none other than... Yup, it's the one and only Space, I guess, by Hit Villain. This has gotta be one of my new favorite levels in the entire game. My love for this level cannot be contained in words, so I'll do my best to try and explain why this level is so unbelievably peak. First of all, I want to talk about something that most people gloss over in the level. The poem. Is it a poem? I don't know, but it's a poem in the way the poem in Menace is called a poem. That being, there are different texts and messages being shown throughout the level. Turns out, after looking further into this poem, like the poem in Menace, it was written entirely by the creator himself. And I just want to say that this poem is actually beautifully written. It's so simple to where it's easy to understand, yet I think it asks meaningful questions about the exploration of humanity and unknowns of the universe. I also think that this poem was beautifully incorporated into the level. You're able to read everything that is said without taking your eyes off the gorgeous visuals or the amazing gameplay. Speaking of the visuals, it's honestly just a pleasing experience to just go throughout the level, part by part, and just find all of the tiny little details in the decoration that make this level so beautiful. Seriously, almost every time I replay the level, I find something brilliant that I never noticed before. Notice how I said played instead of watched? Yeah, this is a common problem with a lot of Space Gauntlet entries that I feel I haven't been able to express in full. Until now. See, you can have all of your levels that look good or have cool and flashy effects, but if it doesn't play good, it's just a miss in my opinion. The primary example of this is a level that many of you consider to be one of the best entries in the whole contest, otherwise known as Alien Dream Emulator. To quote one of my favorite Geometry Dash YouTubers of all time, aka GD Cologne, it's a work of art. Like literally, it's meant to be watched, not played. Which is an absolute banger of a quote, thank you my goat. While Cologne was talking about Rage Quit by Blee, it's easy to see how this applies to Alien Dream Emulator as well. Constant flashes and effects, fast-paced gameplay, really just everything to keep you stimulated. This results in a couple of things. 1. The level isn't really engaging because you can barely see any of the gameplay. 2. The level can even look pretty unfinished or lazy at parts. Especially at the ending, where the big monster is emulating a bunch of other levels. Don't believe me? Just take one look at the block design. It's just white. Finally, it leads the player to exit the level after finished and say, wow, that was cool and intense, but I have no reason to go back to the level and play it again. These factors strip away at a memorable, fun experience that would have made any level all the more engaging to play. Space, I guess? Well, this level takes all those flashy effects and stimulation and throws them out the window. Seriously, there is an extremely minimal amount of any decoration effects, shaders, shaking, anything that would obstruct the beauty of the level itself. It's just a full 3 minutes of utter perfection. All of the tiny details, the area effects, the moving objects, all of those less noticeable things that make me appreciate this level as a whole so much more. Talking about this level decoration-wise, the entire thing is just beautiful to look at and play. Each part looks absolutely gorgeous, and there are tons of small details and nuances that make it even better to observe. God, dude, this level is almost like a treat to watch it and dissect every little detail, cause it's just so perfect. Like, dude, look at these transitions. Are you not convinced yet? And these intricate details and stupidly good animations take up barely any objects at all. Like, I actually think I got zero lag when playing this entire level. I don't think that y'all understand how crazy impressive this is. Literally almost every level lags somewhat on my computer. Like, hop on this shit, bro. And the sort of flawlessness isn't only in the decoration, but in the gameplay as well. Okay, yes, the gameplay score is the only one I marked down, but I was genuinely deciding between giving this a 2.75 out of 3 or a perfect score. I really just went for the former for a more sensible ranking or progression of scores or, you know. Anyways, the gameplay in this level is such an awesome experience to play. Almost every single timing, player motion, mechanic, everything is just so well planned out and it plays like butter. Not only does this level have a stellar decoration, a brilliant theming and story, and an excellent song choice, but the gameplay is executed almost perfectly in most aspects I can think of. The only moderate issues I found with the gameplay are in some very few clicks that were a bit more annoying than others, but it's not really noticeable at all. In fact, this is one of the only other levels in the entire contest that have me actively coming back to it. There are a few others that do the same, but I think one of the main reasons why it keeps me coming back to the level isn't just the fun gameplay or the beautiful decoration, but the overall themes of the level. You see, I talked about this theme loosely in the beginning of the review, mentioning the poem and how it fits the level, but I also want to point out a couple more details that help me explain why this level's theming is the best out of literally every entry here. First of all, I think it's genuinely so cool how the topic of the current part of the poem shapes the environment of the level. A beautiful example of this is after the whole "what if the world was this shape" part, where the poem says the following line: "By placing dots on mountains and lines along coasts, we eventually figured out what our place looked like." Subsequently, there are plenty of lines and dots that are everywhere to be found at this time the line is shown. You can see lines where the player moves and dots where the player clicks, but you can also see maps, lines along coasts, and dots placed at certain points with these coasts in the block design. And that's super impressive and incredible, right? But I'm not done. During the second half of this part, the player flies up into the sky as a ball, with the following lines of the poem being shown. Similarly, with our pen tips pointing upward, we marked everything with dots and lines, obviously representing the act of mapping out the stars in the space. And what do you know, the environment shifts to this darker tone. There are stars, constellations, fuck it, even compasses for God's sake are there. Because HitFilm decided for the poem and the level to go hand in hand together, which I think is just so incredible. I also noticed one other thing, and it's that, you know what these supposed star charts are called? That's right, they're called planispheres. It's all connected! The Space Gauntlet exposed? The Space Gauntlet situation is freaky. Anyways, I think this simple concept of adapting a story, narrative, or just overall smaller details about theming in your level is what makes the biggest difference to me. My placement of the number 2 level hideout might seem outrageously high, but I think this level executes on this concept amazingly, with almost all of the lyrics, notes, and details in the theme being adapted into or represented in the level one way or another. This is why I rank this and hideout so well. And definitely some of the other levels that placed high on this list had influence on me as well. It's really just the small details that would get people like me to praise their work so much, instead of just showing off to an audience. The next thing I want to explain for why I love this level's theming so much is that it takes the concept of making a space level, executes on it perfectly, and then decides, nope, I want to do so much more. Because of this, the level's poem not only talks about space as a concept, it does many other things. For one, it builds an awesome environment based on the theming and statements derived from this poem, and two, it not only talks about space and stuff, but it also dives into interesting concepts such as philosophy, beliefs, purpose, possibility, or impossibility, and the human desire of exploration. There is just so many things to love about this level's theme, and really the level as a whole, but I think the thing that ties it all together is the song choice and how it's represented in the level. The song sounds extremely nice throughout the whole level without it being annoying at all. It reminds me of the song choice for Defying and Defying, but even better somehow. Everything from how the song sounds, it and the level's progression, and how it's incorporated into the level are basically perfect. Some of my favorite aspects of the chosen song are that, for one, I absolutely love the presence of many different noises throughout the song, such as sound effects, vocal effects, ear candy, nose candy, that was a joke, do not call the feds on me. But yeah, not only are there neat small details in the level that I love, they're even in the song as well, which I absolutely love. Second, I also love how every single noise in the song and every single visual or detail in the level represent each other all the time. For example, at the start of the level, the song contains some low synth notes as well as low quality, slightly illegible track of a man speaking about something, and upon hearing this detail, it may remind you of something from an old, low quality, late 20th century television clip. At least it did that for me. But to accompany this feeling, this vibe you get, there are many references to the same vibe in the level as well. The slight RGB effect in the block design, or when you approach these little dots on the ground, the quick appearing and disappearing of the TV static, and the interface of an old-fashioned, currently recording camera, and even a slight fisheye lens filter that is hard to notice, but gradually gets greater right before the end of a part, where along with the song rapidly changing tones to a loud clash of synths, the level also changes into a more out in the open sort of feel to it. That being, you are literally out in the open, but anyways, another thing about this level song-wise is how else it is represented in the level. Although most of the level isn't perfectly click-synced to every single note of the song, I think the representation of the song's vibes and notes are impeccable. The motion and flow of the player, the effects and the setting of the decoration, the timings and clicks in the level, all of it is accompanied by some note or individual feeling that the song provides, and I think it's done better in this level than most others. But all in all, the biggest reason why I love this level specifically over all other entries in this entire contest is that it gave me something to remember. If a level gives you a memory from playing it or a reason to come back to it, then the level is a success in my eyes. What I mean by success to me is that the level achieves its goals it wanted to in its creation process, and it really ended up into an amazing product. Surprisingly, not many other levels do this. Think of the last level you played. Do you remember anything important from it? Is there any reason to come back to the level other than you just want to beat it or check it out? So that was my review of my top 20 favorite entries to the Space Gauntlet contest. However, don't click off yet, I still have one thing to explain. I want to dedicate this last section to something that I know very well of. Opinions and arguments online! First of all, I just want to talk about the Space Gauntlet contest as a whole. Was it good? Yes, of course. The contest was amazing. There were so many great entries which wanted to share countless talents, skills, and ambitions. But did the contest go well? Abso-fucking-lutely not. First of all, RobTop and the other folks made the exact same mistake he did as probably every other contest he has held, that being getting contest entries rated before the results are out. Now, this may not seem like a big deal to you, and you would be wrong, because this not only causes major bias to the actual results, it sort of spoils the excitement for the contest. This whole entire mistake is the sole reason that I think Space, I guess, didn't make it into the contest. You see, upon the level's release for a couple of days, the level got a legendary rating. Seems like a great honor, right? Well, yes and no. This level, in all of its quality and perfection, was one of the first entries to release on the servers out of all near 100 showcased on Vibrant's channel. This means that there were countless entries that came after, which all respectively deserved to get a legendary or mythic score. As some of you may know, there was a final whopping 100% of the official top 20 entries that won a legendary score or higher, and a total of 7 levels that got a mythic score, even higher than the rating given to Space, I guess. So there was always going to be some bias against the level. I am 100% sure that if the crew waited until the contest was over to write the levels, Space, I guess, would have for sure gotten a mythic score and placed higher in the contest. This exact mistake is what led so many judges to make the second mistake I'm going to talk about: bias. Bias shows up everywhere, whether you are picking your favorite levels in some video game, or deciding if some civilian in court should be susceptible to the death sentence. It's always there, but bias was extremely prevalent in the judging of this contest. Like, bro, fuck y'all doing all that for, man? This led a lot of people to dislike the Space Gauntlet for how levels were placed. Like, a lot of people. However, I still want to highlight that this contest was just amazing. Seeing so many absolutely stacked entries come out in the last minute before the deadline was for sure an experience. Although the results were very botched, me and my Discord server had very fun reacting to the results, which you should totally join, by the way. I promoted it at the start of the video, link in the description. Anyways, on to the final thing I want to say, that being, wait, what was I talking about earlier? Oh right, opinions and arguments online! With the internet, you get a lot of children, and with children on the internet, you get arguments. Now, I only wanted to quickly talk about this topic just to remind you to not send hate or bully anyone who leads these contests, interact with these contests, or observe and judge these contests and entries. People will have different levels of their number 1 spots for all different types of reasons, and that's fine. Some person can love a level that I very much dislike and explain all of the reasons why they like it, and that's perfectly okay, because opinions are opinions, and almost all of the stuff I talked about in this video is very subjective. Still don't believe me? Well, a ton of things are subjective and can vary, even for yourself. For proof of this, I just want to show you some statistics. Do you see this list? This was my first iteration of my top 20 entries. Now I'm going to compare that to my current list. Change happening in 3, 2, 1, boom, literally almost everything is different. Just comes to show how opinions can change and how opinions can change in such an extremely unfathomably short amount of time of 2 entire months. Jesus, this video took a while to make. Anyways, again, like I mentioned in the intro, join the 1-hour collab I am hosting, drop your own takes on this video and the content in the comments, subscribe, whatever, and just have a great summer to people viewing this video when it just came out.